I sit in the Pineview Estates Community Clubhouse, perched on the edge of the same creaky folding chair that's occupied the same spot for 10 years straight. String lights twinkle through the windows, reflecting off the framed community guidelines, posters lining the beige walls like some kind of suburban Ten Commandments. Images of model homes with lawns so perfect they look photoshopped, vacations the board never actually took, celebrations where my smile never quite reached my eyes. The fake fireplace crackles with its digital log, sending warmth across the room that doesn't penetrate the chill settling in my chest. Vanessa's squeal pierces the air as she tears open the oversized box wrapped in gold paper from the HOA appreciation table. Karen, it's exactly what I wanted. A cream-colored Gucci Marmot bag. $4,300? You shouldn't have. She pulls out the designer logo, caressing it like a newborn while the room coos. 32 going on 16. Karen, our beloved president, beams with that practiced, pearl-clutching smile. Only the best for our shining star, Vanessa. You've made this neighborhood what it is. The room goes still as I carefully unwrap my own gift, a small envelope sealed with a snowflake sticker. My fingers don't tremble yet. They've had practice. Inside, a $2 paper card with snow-capped mountains and the printed message, Season's greetings from Pineview Estates, HO, a no handwritten note, no gift card, no waiver of my latest fine for non-compliant wreath placement. My face remains composed while something deep inside shatters. 10 years of on-time dues, volunteer hours, and quiet compliance collapse in an instant. Across the room, old Mr. Hargrove catches my eye. His mouth opens slightly, horror flashing across his features before he schools his expression. He knows. He sees. Karen checks her watch, fidgeting with the band. Traffic will be bad if we don't wrap this up soon for the potluck. She hurries to refill Vanessa's eggnog, avoiding my gaze with practiced ease. Look how the leather catches the light. Vanessa announces, parading around the clubhouse with her new treasure. It goes with everything I own. My hands finally betray me with a slight tremor as I fold the card and slip it into my pocket. A souvenir of invisibility. Earlier today, I stood in my modest ranch-style home on Maple Lane, wrapping the contributions I'd selected with painful care. My graphic designer salary of $62,000 stretched thin between HOA dues, mortgage, and the occasional fine, but I'd saved for months for this community exchange. The custom engraved plaque for Karen, $150, with her name in gold script. The high-end garden tools for the board. The rare coffee table book on neighborhood history for Vanessa. Maybe this holiday gathering will finally be different, I told my reflection as I applied mascara. Hope, that stubborn weed, still blooming after a decade of frost. Now I stand smoothing my skirt as the party continues around me. Vanessa snaps photos of her bag for Instagram. Karen arranges cookies on a vintage platter. I think I need some fresh air, I say, my voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. No one looks up except Mr. Hargrove, who crosses the room and touches my shoulder. His fingers press firmly, a Morse code of understanding. You're not wrong, he whispers. You deserve so much more. I nod once, throat tight, and retrieve my coat from the rack. The wool scratches against my wrists as I button it methodically. No one notices as I walk out the front door, leaving the potluck unfinished. The profound silence follows me down the walkway to my car dusted with fresh snow. The drive home takes 5 minutes. Pineview's twinkling lights spread below like fallen stars. The neighborhood continues its holiday rhythms, oblivious to single-car vigils and broken traditions. When did I become so invisible to the very people who call this place family? The words fog the windshield. Questions without answers. I remove the card from my pocket. Not just paper, but a symbol of 10 years of dismissal. 10 years of hoping for equal treatment compressed into a mass-produced greeting. My tears finally flow freely, hot tracks down cold cheeks. 10 years of hoping for fairness. And now I see it will never come. The city, well, the subdivision, lights blur through my tears. I wonder how many others sit alone tonight, clutching evidence of their HOA's failure to see them. Have you ever felt invisible to the people who should value you most? A month has passed in silence. Only occasional HOA emails demanding more volunteer hours. Yet Mr. Hargrove calls often to check up on me. One Tuesday after work, I spread my evidence folders across the dining table. January sunlight struggling through Portland's perpetual cloud cover. No, wait, Pine View's perpetual overcast of passive-aggressive notes. 1 month since the $2 card. Elena Voss archaeological dig, I whisper, tracing my finger along a photo from my 5th anniversary block party. A supermarket sheet cake sits before me, frosting slightly melted. My smile looks rehearsed. Beside it, another photo. Vanessa's welcome to the board party at the clubhouse with crystal chandeliers gleaming above a 3-tiered custom cake. Karen's arm draped around her shoulders while she adjusts Vanessa's new pearl necklace. I never realized how methodically I've documented my own erasure. Violation notices preserved in plastic sleeves. Mine for grass measuring 2.6 inches instead of 2.5, $250 fine. Vanessa's for the exact same infraction. Paper-clipped note. Waived, community spirit. My fingers shake as I turn to the awards section. The one time I was named Volunteer of the Month with a cheap certificate, while Vanessa got Resident of the Year plaque, plus waived pool permit fees. The evidence surrounds me like archaeological artifacts of civilization built on imbalance. I open my desk drawer and pull out a leather-bound ledger book. Inside, columns of numbers track years of selective enforcement. HOA fine statements totaling $3,800 despite working extra hours to stay compliant. An email printout from Karen. Sorry, we can't waive your fine this time. Rules are rules. Next to it, a screenshot of Vanessa's Instagram post about her new deck edition approved in 48 hours. The figures burn in my vision like accusing neon signs. My current violation notice, holiday lights left up 1 day past January 15th, $100 fine. Vanessa's lights still blazing in her feed. My phone buzzes. I ignore it, focusing instead on the stack of notices. I retrieve my journal from the nightstand and carefully place the card inside. Beneath it, I write in deliberate letters. The last time I'll beg for fairness. My phone buzzes again with the HOA group chat notification. I open settings and silence it. Done. Another email from Karen. Casual board meeting Sunday. Your input on decorations needed. I type. Sorry, I have plans. No hay la verdad excuse. No promise to reschedule. Vanessa texts next. Elena, can you help organize the spring cleanup? Karen and I are swamped. My finger hovers over the screen. The old Elena would rearrange her schedule, show up with coffee and gloves, spend hours picking up trash while Vanessa directed from the sidelines. I'm not available. I text back. Good luck with the cleanup. 3 dots appear, disappear, reappear. Finally, what's wrong with you lately? I take a deep breath and type what might be the most honest message I've ever sent. I need some time away from HOA gatherings. The response is immediate. Karen's going to be upset. I set the phone down without replying. For once, that's not my responsibility. Standing before my bathroom mirror, I study my reflection. The same hazel eyes, the same straight nose, the same person who has spent 10 years hoping for equal footing. When does hope become self-destruction? I ask my reflection. Back in my journal, I write another question. What would I tell my freelance clients if they were treated this way? The answer comes with startling clarity. I would tell them they deserve respect. I would tell them rules shouldn't require constant proof of worthiness. I would tell them that sometimes the neighborhood we bought into isn't equipped to see our value. I close the folders, tuck away the ledger of selective fines, and stack everything neatly in a storage box. Not to forget to preserve the evidence. To remind myself on weekdays that this isn't imagined, this isn't overreaction. The pattern is real. The erasure is documented. And for the first time, I'm allowing myself to see it clearly. When did you realize a painful pattern in your life needed to change? 6 weeks later, I am already into the new routine and completely focused only on myself. The sun streams through the windows of my home studio as I sink my fingers into fresh sketch paper. The tablet spins, my stylus guides, and something beautiful emerges from nothing. I've been coming here every Saturday morning for 6 weeks straight. The $250 receipt for the advanced design course pinned to my kitchen calendar with a magnet that declares investment in myself. You've got a natural feel for this, Elena, says Miranda, the instructor at the community college extension. Her silver-streaked hair falls across her face as she leans over to examine my work. Most beginners fight the software. You're learning to collaborate with it. The metaphor isn't lost on me. For 10 years, I've been fighting against the HOA's perception of me instead of building something new with the materials at hand. Thank you, I say, applying gentle pressure to form the clean lines of what will become my new portfolio piece. I'm trying to be more patient with the process, not just with design, but with myself. The words from yesterday's therapy session echo in my mind as clearly as if Dr. Williams were standing beside me. Your worth isn't measured by their recognition. $90 per session. Money I once would have spent on elaborate HOA contributions for people who never appreciated them. Now those funds build my interior landscape instead. Last night, I removed the last HOA Volunteer of the Month certificate from my office wall. The space now holds 3 framed prints I selected from a local artist. Images of solitary trees standing strong against stormy skies. My bookshelf has transformed too, filling with volumes I've chosen for myself rather than the approved reading list Karen once suggested represented cultured residents. My phone buzzes. Karen's name appears on the screen with her weekly attempt to restore the old dynamics. Elena, dear, I was thinking you should host the spring cleanup kickoff this year. Vanessa is so busy with her new project, and it would give you a chance to show everyone your organizational skills. The ellipsis in her voice carries the weight of unspoken judgment. 3 months ago, I would have agreed immediately, desperate to prove my worth through perfect spreadsheets and spotless signage. Today, I set down my stylus and type a simple response. I'm not available to host the kickoff this year. I have prior commitments. No explanation, no apology, just a boundary. Clear as the line between wet ink and dry paper. Very nice, says Miranda, nodding at my piece. You're finding your center. I am, in more ways than one. Monday morning brings unexpected validation at my freelance studio. A major client emails me. This campaign concept is exceptional, Elena. The engagement numbers are through the roof. We've never seen anything like these. I accept the folder, scanning the comments. One jumps out. Elena's assignment about redesigning our brand story from a different perspective changed how we see ourselves. We never thought about being the hero instead of the victim. The words land in my chest like a warm stone. All those years feeling invisible, and here I am helping others see themselves more clearly. There's something else. The client continues. We need someone to lead our summer rebranding project. Your independent spirit is exactly what we need. It comes with a nice stipend, of course. The word independent no longer stings as it once did when Karen used it to justify her selective enforcement. Now it carries the weight of respect. I'd be honored, I reply, straightening my shoulders. That afternoon, I receive an email inviting me to present at a regional design conference. My finger hovers over the delete button, first instinct to assume it's been sent to me by mistake. Then I remember Dr. Williams's words, assume you deserve good things until proven otherwise. I click accept instead. Later that evening, I open my banking app and transfer $500 into the account labeled Home Renovation Fund. The first deposit of many, a home that will truly be mine, not a space I occupy at the edges of someone else's rules. The phone rings at midnight. Vanessa's sobbing voice fills my ear before I can even say hello. You broke up with me. Elena. I can't believe it. Derek just walked out after dinner. I need you to come over. I can't be alone right now. The old Elena would have jumped from bed, thrown on clothes, and driven across the subdivision at unsafe speeds to comfort her. The woman I'm becoming takes a breath. I'm so sorry that happened, Vanessa. I can talk tomorrow during my lunch break. What? I need you now. This is serious. I understand you're hurting. I'm available at noon tomorrow. My time matters too. The shocked silence stretches between us. A new territory neither of us has mapped before. I guess I could wait until tomorrow, Vanessa finally whispers. Then something I've never heard from her before. I'm sorry, Elena. I didn't think about what time it. I hang up. I lie awake, half expecting the follow-up call from Karen, outraged at my selfishness. It comes at 1:17 a.m., her angry voice filling my voicemail with familiar accusations. I delete it without listening to the end. In weeks to come, my support network expands like ripples in still water. Robert, the history teacher whose classroom sits across from mine at the community college, stops by my desk after the final bell. I was wondering if you'd like to have dinner Friday, he says, his hands fidgeting with a paperclip. Just as friends, but I've always admired your dedication to your projects. Mr. Hargrove arrives for a weekend visit, unfolding his late wife's quilt across my couch with reverent hands. She always saw your light, Elena. Even when others didn't, he says, smoothing the faded fabric. She left this specifically for you because she knew you'd appreciate its story. My design classmates organize a hiking trip to the nearby hills. My therapist notes how my posture has changed, opening like a flower turning towards sun. At a client meeting, when a marketing director dismisses my suggestion about incorporating user-centered storytelling into their campaign, my colleague Sandra speaks up. Elena has been saying this for years. The research supports her approach. The HOA group text pings with Vanessa's announcement of her new community project. Everyone responds with enthusiastic acceptance. I type simply, I'll attend, but I'll drive separately. Karen's private text arrives within minutes. Why are you being difficult? I consider a dozen responses before settling on truth without malice. Setting healthy boundaries isn't being difficult. In my calendar, I create the entry. Meeting 2 hours maximum. Bring Robert. We've been dating for a while. The balcony garden I've started flourishes with herbs and native wildflowers. As evening light filters through the leaves, I sit with my journal open on my lap. The pages contain fewer questions now, more declarations. Today I write, growth requires both distance and nourishment. My fingers, still faintly stained with ink, trace the words. What seeds of self-respect are you ready to plant in your own life? The question rises unbidden as I watch Abby navigate between blossoms, purposeful in its journey. The answer blooms within me, stronger than any doubt could overwhelm, the ones that will finally allow me to thrive. And in months to come, I will finally show this neighborhood who I am. On the day of the annual spring meeting 3 months later, I step out of Robert's car, smoothing the fabric of my sage green dress. The simple silk falls just below my knees, affordable elegance that took 3 months of careful budgeting. You look beautiful, Robert whispers, his hand finding the small of my back. The clubhouse sprawls before us, manicured lawns stretching toward the hills in the distance. Vanessa chose the venue theme, though I wonder how the HOA budget afforded it on our dues alone. Ready? Robert asks. I nod, more truthfully than I've ever been. 6 months of therapy and boundary setting have armored me for this gathering. Vanessa spots us immediately, waving frantically from the entrance. Her sequin cocktail dress catches the afternoon sunlight, sending prisms dancing across the pavement. Too formal for a casual meeting, but that's Vanessa, always one notch above appropriate. Elena, you actually came. She air kisses near my cheek, perfume clouding between us. And you brought a friend? Robert Thompson, he says, extending his hand. Elena's colleague. And more, I add firmly. We've been dating for 3 months. Vanessa's perfectly plucked eyebrows rise. Karen didn't mention that. Karen doesn't know everything about my life anymore. Before she can respond, Karen appears, her smile stretched thin as worn elastic. Her eyes dart between us, landing on my simple gold necklace, the dress, Robert's steady presence. Elena, darling. Her hug feels mechanical. Your yard must be getting cramped with all that new planting these days. Have you thought about upgrading to the approved palette? The old familiar sting threatens, but I breathe through it. My yard suits me perfectly. Mr. Hargrove approaches, tugging at his collar. There's my independent girl, he says, patting my shoulder awkwardly. Your garden must be getting too wild for the rules now. Same script, different meeting, I simply smile. Mr. Hargrove rescues me, swooping in with a genuine embrace. Look at you, he whispers, standing tall. He glances over his shoulder before adding, the board is having financial troubles. Karen's investments tanked. The reserve fund is bleeding. The meeting passes in a blur of motions and promises. During the break, I noticed details that would have escaped me before. Karen arguing with the treasurer in harsh whispers about payment terms. Her handbag, not her usual designer, but a well-worn leather clutch with a small scuff on the corner. And most telling, Vanessa's panicked expression when the caterer returns her credit card, shaking his head. The garden behind the clubhouse offers temporary escape. Roses climb trellises, their June blooms heavy with perfume. I breathe deeply, counting backward from 10, Dr. Williams's technique for processing surprise without reaction. Running away again, I turn to find Vanessa, her mascara slightly smudged at the corners. Taking a moment, I correct her. The difference matters. She slumps onto a stone bench, unexpectedly graceless. You're different now. Yes. I realized how unfair everything was. The words tumble out unpracticed. I'm sorry, Elena. I wait. Years of experience teaching me that Vanessa's apologies often come with conditions. They can't support me anymore, she continues, voice cracking. Karen's reserve fund is collapsing. The clubhouse repairs are overdue. My credit cards are maxed out. I sit beside her, maintaining careful inches between us. That sounds difficult. I never learned to stand on my own like you did. A tear tracks through her foundation. I don't know how to live on what I actually earn. The sunset paints the garden in amber light, turning Vanessa's sequins into tiny flames. We sit in silence, the first comfortable quiet between us since I moved in. Back inside, Karen corners me near the refreshment table. You've always been good with numbers, Elena, she begins, voice unusually hesitant. Graphic designers have excellent organizational skills. I sip my water, waiting. We might need some advice. Neighborhood helping neighborhood, you know. Before I can respond, board members swarm around us. Elena, heard you got that big client, Mr. Hargrove booms. Always knew you'd be successful. Karen appears at my elbow. Elena was always our practical one, she says, her fingers nervously twisting her HOA pin. So responsible. Across the room, Robert chats with his sister who drove up from the next suburb. She's the most respected designer at her firm. I overhear him say, pride warming his voice. Vanessa approaches, subdued. Do you know about affordable ways to fix the reserve fund? Maybe with some cuts? The irony isn't lost on me after years of invisibility. Suddenly everyone sees me, not for who I am, but for what I might provide. When Karen mentions temporary neighborhood assistance, later, I maintain polite distance without cruelty. I'm not in a position to help financially, I tell her directly. My budget is carefully balanced with my own needs. To Vanessa, I offer what she actually needs. Start with a spreadsheet and realistic cuts. It's how I survived my first 3 years here. 2-2. Karen attempts guilt, her specialty. We always supported you. Emotionally or financially, I ask quietly. Her silence answers more truthfully than words could. At 9 o'clock, I find Robert by the exit. Ready to leave? I ask. The relief in his eyes mirrors my own. Whenever you are. We slip away during the raffle drawing, driving toward the nearby overlook rather than returning to my street. The night air carries pine and freedom as we walk barefoot along the path, shoes dangling from our fingers. You handle that beautifully, Robert says. I watch the moonlight ripple across the hills. Sometimes the greatest gift is seeing clearly. The breeze rustles and retreats, a rhythm older than HOA patterns. I wonder how many others have found strength in walking away from expectations that never serve them, choosing instead the uncertain path of self-respect. The hills don't answer, but somehow I no longer need them to. A week after the meeting, I arrive at the clubhouse exactly at 6, parking my Honda next to Karen's Lexus that now shows patches of rust around the wheel wells. 2 hours. That's all I've allocated for this important board discussion. My watch timer is already set. The front porch light flickers weakly as I approach. No holiday wreath adorns the door this June evening, but the familiar weight of expectation hangs heavy in the spring air. I knock instead of using my key card. Karen answers, her smile too bright, her hug too tight. Elena, you look wonderful. That client promotion agrees with you. I step into the meeting room, where the furniture seems oddly rearranged. The Italian leather sectional has vanished, replaced by a generic beige sofa. HOA photos still line the walls, but the expensive crystal gavel that normally dominated the table is missing. Mr. Hargrove rises from his chair, his shoulders slightly stooped. Punctual as always, Elena. I have a morning client call tomorrow. I explain. I can stay until 8. Vanessa sits in the corner armchair, her fingers twisting in her lap. She offers a small wave, but remains unusually quiet. Karen bustles in with a tray of coffee cups. I made your favorite lemon cookies. Neighborhood needs to stick together during challenging times. Mr. Hargrove begins without preamble. He paces before the digital fireplace where no fire burns despite the evening chill. The Pineview name has always stood for something in this community. Karen sits beside me, her hand reaching for mine. We've always been so proud of you, Elena. Your independence, your determination, that design award. You've never needed much from us. My skin prickles with familiar recognition. The script hasn't changed, just the circumstances. I sip my coffee and wait. The market downturn has been particularly brutal for the reserve fund. Mr. Hargrove continues, his voice straining for its usual authority. Our portfolio? Well, there have been significant losses. The bank has been calling about the clubhouse mortgage. Karen adds, her voice dropping to a whisper. We might lose the building. Mr. Hargrove clears his throat. Vanessa's special project lease renewal is coming up next month. That new deck edition raised the rates again. Karen squeezes my hand. We noticed your latest client announced that big rebranding contract, the one with the substantial payout. The pieces click into place with perfect clarity. I set my coffee cup down carefully on the table. We're just wondering if you might temporarily help with the reserve shortfall. Karen says, the word temporarily stretching thin between us. Just until things stabilize. Neighborhood helping neighborhood. Mr. Hargrove adds, his smile wobbling. You've always been our rock. The room falls silent. Vanessa studies her expensive manicure, shame coloring her cheeks. I need to say something that's long overdue. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. I reach into my purse and withdraw the Christmas card, now slightly worn at the edges from the months I've carried it. I place it on the table. This was the moment I finally saw the truth. Karen glances at the card dismissively. A greeting card? Really, Elena? We're discussing serious financial matters here. This isn't about money. I trace the paper mountain scene with my finger. This is about 10 years of messages that I matter less. Vanessa's welcome party with custom everything, while my anniversary was celebrated with a grocery store cake. My violation notices for grass 2.6 inches while hers were waived. My volunteer hours ignored while she got the plaque and perks. Karen's face drains of color. We never meant, I don't believe you did it consciously. I continue. But it happened consistently. Every fine, every meeting, every milestone. That's ridiculous. Karen's face flushes with indignation. We gave you everything you needed, but never what she wanted, Vanessa says suddenly. All eyes turn to her. She's right. We've always treated her as less important. I watched it my whole life and benefited from it. Mr. Hargrove's mouth opens, then closes. The foundation of the HOA mythology cracks visibly before my eyes. This isn't about punishing anyone, I say. But if we want a relationship moving forward, it starts with respect and equality. So you won't help the neighborhood? Karen's tears spill freely now, genuine rather than strategic. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I won't be the neighborhood's financial solution while the pattern continues. I won't fund Vanessa's projects when I've struggled to afford my own yard upgrades. I won't contribute to a dynamic where I give everything and receive nothing. After all we've done for you, Karen's voice rises sharply, revealing her true expectations. This is how you repay us. I'm offering something better than money. I reply, my voice level. I'm offering honesty. I'm offering the chance for a neighborhood built on mutual respect rather than obligation. She doesn't owe us, Vanessa says quietly. None of this is her responsibility. The silence that follows feels like the first honest moment we've shared in a decade. I stand, smoothing my skirt. I need acknowledgement of what's happened. I need my boundaries respected. I'm willing to help review the books, create a realistic budget, apply for grants, but I won't sacrifice my financial security or self-respect. Karen's shoulders shake with silent sobs. Mr. Hargrove stares out the window, his back rigid with pride. Think about what I've said. I gather my purse. I'll let myself out. The night air feels cleansing as I walk to my car. Stars pierce the darkness overhead, witnesses to a truth finally spoken. I realize, starting the engine, that the truth doesn't need to be harsh to be powerful. It simply needs to be spoken. What truth have you needed to speak, even when others weren't ready to hear it? I unlocked the door to my updated Pineview home exactly 1 year after that holiday revelation. The key sliding into place with a satisfying click. 1 year after the $2 card, my life stands transformed, not by what the HOA gave me, but by what I finally gave myself permission to claim. Last box, Robert announces, setting a cardboard container labeled Design Books on the bamboo floor I selected myself. His steady presence these past months has become a comfort I never knew I needed. Not rescue, but partnership. I trace my fingers along the framed house, key mounted on the entryway wall. Beneath it, a simple plaque reads, $18,000, the price of freedom. Each dollar representing months of overtime, careful budgeting, and saying no to HOA expectations that once consumed me. Department head level looks good on you, Mr. Hargrove remarks, arranging wildflowers in a ceramic vase I created in my design class. He touches my shoulder, his eyes crinkling with pride. You built this life brick by brick, Elena. The afternoon sun spills through windows I spent hours selecting, casting golden rectangles across the dining table set for 4. Not a grand gathering, but an intentional one. Robert, Mr. Hargrove, and Vanessa will join me for dinner. My terms, my space, my boundaries intact. Karen's text message arrived this morning. Hope the renovation went well. 5 words representing her struggle to navigate our new reality. She calls monthly now. Her conversation careful, but increasingly genuine. Small steps toward what might someday become authentic cooperation. Vanessa arrives carrying a houseplant and a bottle of mid-priced wine. Her designer bags have disappeared, replaced by sensible work attire from her first real job. The budget hunt is going well, she says, helping me arrange plates on the table. My roommate works in accounting. She's teaching me about spreadsheets. Her voice holds a newfound humility that sometimes catches me off guard. Later, as Robert helps me hang curtains in the bedroom, his hands steady on the drill, he asks, have you thought about next summer? That cabin in the hills is still available for rent. I smile, no longer afraid of future possibilities. I'd like that. I answer simply. When everyone leaves, I prepare for my first night alone in my refreshed home. I placed the $2 card, that catalyst for change, in a simple frame on my desk. What once symbolized invisibility now represents strength discovered through pain. I open my journal, running my hands across a blank page before writing. Worth is inherent, not earned or granted by others. At my studio, a young designer sought me out yesterday, tears streaming down her face after a client meeting where her ideas were dismissed. I recognized that wounded look all too well. Your boundaries aren't selfish, I told her, offering tissues and the validation I once desperately needed myself. My savings account grows steadily, now labeled Future Dreams instead of Emergency Fund. The local gallery called yesterday about displaying my pieces next month. From my balcony, I watched the Pineview sunset paint the sky in watercolor hues. 1 year ago, I sat in my car, sobbing over a meaningless card. Tonight, I stand surrounded by a life built on my own terms. The gift, I whispered to the evening air, was finding myself. I close my journal, no longer needing external validation to know my value. Turning off the porch light, I walk into rooms furnished with intention and self-respect. Love that must be earned isn't love at all. In the neighborhood, it's finally learning the same lesson, the hard way.